This boy was just living his normal high school life when a massive magic circle suddenly appeared on the floor, dragging the entire school into a completely different world. They had been summoned to serve as heroes in this new realm filled with magic. Akira, our main character, ended up being summoned as an assassin with absolutely broken stats. The students were led to a crystal where they had to place their hands to reveal their power levels. After several students touched the crystal and discovered their hero classes, Akira realized that his own stats were higher than anyone else's, despite being an assassin. But he starts feeling like something is off about this summoning. He begins analyzing the surroundings and notices hidden cameras filming everything, which confirms his suspicions. Later on, while alone in his room, he decides to put on his gear to uncover the dark truth about this world. After moving stealthily across the rooftops, he reaches the top of the royal castle and manages to slip inside undetected. Creeping through the halls, he overhears a conversation behind a door. It's the king, bragging that the summoned students have no clue that they are just being used as pawns. In that case, the plan will proceed as scheduled. As soon as a girl leaves the room, Akira seizes the chance to break in, ready to assassinate the king right then and there. However, he holds back since he doesn't know the full extent of the king's plan yet. So, he decides to retreat to his room for now. By the next day, everyone was already dying to get stronger, so they all rushed straight to the training grounds. The Knight Commander introduced himself and announced that in 1 month, they would be sent to the underground Labyrinth. During the speech, Akira tried to slip away from the training, but it didn't even take a few seconds for the commander to catch him. Akira claims he thought no one had noticed him. The commander asks where he was going and tells him to be honest. Akira explains that he just wanted to hit the library to learn a bit more about their world. Curious, the commander asks him what his level is. Akira bluntly answers that he's already at max level. The commander thinks for a moment and then asks about his skills, and Akira admits they are level 1 because he doesn't know how to upgrade them. The commander offers to help train his skills and proposes a deal. He teaches him about this world, and Akira explains his own. Akira thinks it's a fair trade and accepts the offer. Just then, a knight arrives to pull the commander back to his duties. On their way back, the commander mentions Akira, noting that the boy is way stronger than the heroes and is hiding his true power. The knight asks if he's interested in recruiting him into the ranks. He replies that he actually plans to design a special training regimen for him. The following day, everyone was gathered at the training grounds again, but the students start noticing the connection growing between the commander and Akira. This motivates the summoned heroes to grind harder, just to be noticed by the commander. Back in the kingdom's capital, they were formally introduced to the public and treated to a grand parade of heroes. A hooded girl looked pretty unhappy watching the parade, so Akira walked up to ask her what was wrong. She claims nobody knows the sacrifices made just to summon these heroes. Akira admits he has no idea, and she figured he wouldn't be aware of it. She leaves, telling him they'll meet again once he discovers the truth. The day of the Labyrinth mission finally arrived, and the commander is hyped to see their progress after a month of training. Unbelievably, the students were actually losing a fight against simple labyrinth rats. The commander takes a deep breath, gripping his sword, and unleashes a massive wave of power that wipes out every single rat in just one strike. Suddenly, a loud roar echoed from the upper floor of the dungeon. When they get there, they encounter a gigantic minotaur, a monster that usually lurks in the much deeper levels. The minotaur tries to smash Akira, but he dodges with ease. The beast then targets another hero who was completely frozen in fear, but Tsukasa jumps in to help, blocking the heavy attack. The impact instantly shatters his sword and breaks his hands. Even so, Tsukasa feels it's his duty to protect everyone. Akira asks him, "But who is going to protect you?" He points out that they can all fend for themselves. Akira adds that he needs to value his own life a bit more. Tsukasa looks down, feeling pressured to save everyone to be a real hero. The mages try to heal Tsukasa and lift the status effects, but he's been hit with a really powerful curse that is going to take quite some time to fully cure. Akira leaves the girls to take care of Tsukasa and joins the commander in the battle against the Minotaur. With his sword broken, Akira is forced to rely on his skills, declaring that he definitely isn't going to die in a place like this. Taking down this Minotaur is no walk in the park, so the commander's all about borrowing Akira's power to get them home ASAP. He even cracks a joke saying when they're back he wants Akira to spill the tea on smartphones and airplanes, stuff from his world. Akira starts sneaking around the Minotaur. The vice commander catches onto their plan and tells the squad to fall back. Saran's charging up his power, then bam, hits the Minotaur with his lightning flash move. Finally, they're making a dent in this monster. Right after, Akira's behind the beast, busting out his shadow magic. His move's epic, using the shadow from Saran's attack to power up his own. It's like the ultimate combo move. But Akira's skill is tricky to handle, almost went haywire during training. Once the shadow covers the Minotaur, Akira kicks in the second part of his ability, and the beast's swallowed by darkness. After all that, Akira's wiped out and just wants to crash at home. They finally escape the dungeon, but there's still a whole forest to trek through before they hit the castle. Unlike the trip there, everyone's dead silent, maybe freaked out by what just went down, or just plain exhausted. Akira's beat and a bit banged up, so he checks his status to see what's up. When he sees his level and new stats, he's blown away, even making his buddy ask if he's alright. But duh, it's kinda obvious. He took down a ton of creatures in there. He's now level 15, and his stats are triple what they were when he first landed in this world. Besides leveling up his skills, he's got 2 new ones in the bag. The commander had mentioned he could snag skills from enemies, but Akira didn't think it'd happen so fast. Turns out, having a minotaur in your face using intimidation and roar has its perks. Akira wonders if Tsukasa, who had everyone's back against the minotaur, picked up any new tricks. After a long trek, they finally reach the castle, and the commander does a roll call to dismiss everyone. But he asks Akira to hang back for a sec. Then Saran comes over and hands him a sword crafted by the first hero himself, called Katana. He says since Akira's from the same place as the first hero, he should know his way around this sword. Akira's confused about why he's getting it, so the commander explains it's tradition for the hero to inherit the sacred sword. Akira asks if the king's cool with this, and Saran's like, "Shh, don't tell anyone, I kinda swiped it from the castle's treasury." And since Akira's dagger got wrecked fighting the Minotaur, it's the perfect time for a new weapon. The sword's a masterpiece, with a double-edged tip, a blade as black as night, and a matching hilt and sheath. In his world, it's called Kogara Suzukuri, and even the back of the blade's deadly. Akira asks the commander if it's got a name, and he says there's something written on it they can't read. When Akira peeks at the sheath, he sees kanji letters spelling out Yado no Kami. The kid had no clue what it meant, but he figured it was some god's name or something. When he took off the whole sheath, there was a note saying, "For you, my little one, who will come to this world in the future, I hope this sword helps you in the toughest times." The first hero seemed like a super strong and chill dude. This reminded the commander that the kid had something to spill about the hero Tsukasa. The main guy said he was cursed, like a mega powerful curse, and they tried to spell curse a bunch, but nada. And he asked if Commander Saran had any deets on it. Later, while Akira was snooping around the castle, he found the princess with some object and heard her say her hero should act and move like a real hero. He snuck into her room through the window and asked if that was how she cursed Tsukasa. The princess asked who he was and said she didn't know anyone in the squad was bold enough to crash a maiden's room so late. Akira said he wouldn't care if she had prayed or something to make him notice her. But he said sadly, he wasn't into hearing any maiden's tale from a wild yandere who messes with curses. While saying that, he felt the intense chill coming from inside that thing. After smashing it, he thought the hero's curse should have been lifted, but before bouncing, he asked why she was following the king's orders. She just said it was all for his majesty's sake. The princess was raised without even knowing what love is, because his majesty loved the queen so much that she sadly died after having the princess. When the main guy left, she opened a shelf packed with more of those objects to show divine punishment to anyone who crossed the king. Akira went to the commander's room to spill the tea and show what he found in the princess's room. When he handed him the crystal, Saran freaked out, like he knew it was something bad. Whispering, he said he didn't think that person was still mixed up in this. He asked the MC for more time to check it out and said he'd spill the beans tomorrow. Akira agreed, since he was already wiped out, but didn't think crashing in his room, which was in the castle, was smart, so he tried to find a secret spot to crash. He told Commander Saran he was going to wrap up the business he mentioned that night. After that, he said bye to the dude and went to chill. The bright sun in the sky woke the kid, who was snoozing in a tree. He planned to wake up before dawn, but guess he overslept. Then Tsukasa started yelling, looking for him in the woods. As soon as Akira got close to the hero, he noticed the curse was gone, but before he could ask if the kid was cool, Tsukasa, already dragging the MC to run, said something happened to Commander Saran. When they passed a crowd of people in a circle, Akira saw Commander Saran lying on the ground with a sword in his chest. The main guy ran to the body, desperate to figure out what went down. Someone in the crowd told the kid to quit the shameless act, and asked if that dagger in the commander's chest wasn't his. Then some people noticed Akira had used that dagger a few days ago, and everyone started calling him a murderer. Tsukasa tried to calm everyone down to stop the chaos and asked Akira straight up if he really did it. But now there was nothing to do. Everyone saw with their own eyes when his dagger shattered while fighting the Minotaur in the dungeon. However, that weird vibe he was getting from them was something he already knew. He finally got what was happening. He fell into the king and princess's trap. He turned and started leaving, since if everyone was under the princess's curse, It would be super hard for him to clear this mess alone. He went to the commander's body again and took his dagger. He told the king that if he was a thorn in his path, he didn't need to sweat it anymore, as he was leaving right now. But the king said he wouldn't let a murderer like him roam free in that world, because he knew too much, just like the commander, so he should take his punishment as the wicked criminal who took out the last line of defense of that kingdom. Then the king ordered all his soldiers to nab the kid. The main dude realized that no matter how many small fries he collected, they were still just small fries, so he went all ninja mode to ditch the soldiers. The king was all, "He's gotta be here somewhere," and told his crew to track down the runaway. The vice commander felt Akira's vibes nearby, and spilled the beans that Commander Saran got taken out by the Night Ravens, a squad of assassins working for the king. They were probably gunning for the kid now too, so he needed to stay sharp. Plus, Saran left the stuff the kid wanted and a note in his room. He wrapped it up by telling the kid to bounce from the castle ASAP before the king caught him. The main dude gave Vice Commander Zeal a big thanks and told him to stay safe too. The stuff Akira asked Saran for was the must-have gear to survive his epic journey after ditching the castle. He was already plotting to leave the castle in a few days with the commander's help, or at least that was the plan. Now he was all fired up to get revenge for his buddy, but he knew he wasn't strong enough yet, and he promised to hang in there, cause he was definitely gonna make it. After ditching the castle, he hit up the dungeon where, a few days back, he went with his squad and the knights. When they went there, they breezed through to the 30th floor, but now he was solo, and if he didn't bring his A-game, it wouldn't be a cakewalk to go further. Even though the current baddies were just low-tier monsters like goblins, if they ganged up on him, he'd be in trouble. In the note Commander Saran left, it said if the king was after him and he had to bail solo, the dungeon was the best hideout. It said he should head to Cantonin and aim for the 100th floor. And that's what the main dude was doing, and after taking down one of the baddies, he found some rare mana material inside it. It was super handy for cutting down his mana use, so he needed to stock up, cause his supplies weren't endless. The gear he got from Commander Saran was just enough for 30 days, with portable snacks, random items, a hunting knife, assassin tools, and stuff. Anyway, he at least wanted to hit the 30th floor, cause he might bump into other adventurers if he stayed on the upper floors. Then his threat detection went off like crazy, putting him on high alert. It wasn't a monster, cause he didn't sense anyone nearby, and at his level, he could sense anything within 50 meters. He didn't think it was someone sneaky enough to fool his skills, so if it was a threat with no presence, it had to be a trap. Thinking this, he decided to test his theory. By chucking the mana pebble he snagged from the enemy, a bunch of arrows shot at it. It was a trap that reacted to mana, and the main dude couldn't let his guard down for even a second, cause all he could count on was his own skills and moves. While Akira was battling baddies in the dungeon, Tsukasa was paying his respects to Commander Saran. Vice Commander Zeal spilled all the tea about his boss, even the part where he and Akira did everything to lift the curse on him. But now, since the commander was gone, his crew was acting all weird with him. The vibe was super tense, and they started beefing over silly stuff. They began forming cliques and looking down on other groups, and Tsukasa was all confused and lost about what to do, slowly losing control over the situation. While he was venting at the ex-commandant's grave, he sensed someone coming. He spun around with his sword, not even asking who it was. Startled, Ueno said she wasn't trying to spy on him, but Tsukasa said it was cool and that he heard she worked hard to break the curse on him, and thanked her for that. She said it was no biggie, cause she thought it was normal to be on edge with how his crew was acting. When asked if she wasn't cursed, Ueno said she was an exorcist and was super confident her curse resistance was way higher than anyone else in her class. But she wouldn't be shocked if the hero found it hard to trust her, cause he knew how gnarly the curse was. Even without being sure she totally cured the curse on Tsukasa, she asked him to come back to that spot tomorrow. Alright, so here's the deal. She was gonna show that curse was just a big ol' nothing burger for her, and then the hero could totally trust her, cause you know, teamwork makes the dream work. Being all solo and doubting her squad was super tough for Ueno, no cap. Now Tsukasa was getting a taste of that solo life. Ever since he got stuck in that mess, he was down with the girl's plan and said he'd be back tomorrow, but trust issues man, so he'd bring his sword, just in case. And she should keep her distance. Like, for real. She was cool with that and joked, saying she wasn't about to get all up close and personal with a dude holding a sword. After placing the last flower on the grave, he felt like he was ready to level up and be the hero of that world. Ueno said he picked a flower that was both pretty and perfect for the spot, cause hollyhock means a heart to believe in flower speak. In his head he was like, yo, Akira, hang tight, I'm coming for you, wherever you are. That night, in the castle, the king and princess were plotting to finally ditch Saran and thought the Night Ravens deserved a shout-out for their epic work. The princess said the curse was all set on everyone but the hero, so they just needed a reason to throw hands with the kingdom. And they were hoping Akira would just, bite the dust somewhere random, but still told the ravens to keep tabs on him, just in case. Fast forward 10 days, and the main dude was still chilling in the dungeon, getting used to it, and munching on monster meat to save his snacks. He hadn't gone full goblin mode yet, though. When his snacks ran out, he'd probably have to eat whatever. No picky eaters here. He was always super vulnerable when eating or just chilling, but he always had stealth and threat detection on, so no biggie. Using a skill for ages made it stronger, so he was tempted to level up the other skills too. But since using them drained his energy and magic, and recovery was all about those two, he was low-key stressed. Anyway, the MC needed to chow down and get his bod in top shape. Cause the next stop was the dungeon boss area. In that dungeon, there was a massive door every 10 floors, and the one in front of him was the door to the boss room on the 60th floor. Up to that point, he had to take on all 5 bosses to get there. Even flying solo, he had to fight them, knowing he was at a major disadvantage. Especially the boss fight on the 50th floor, Fenrir. It was a total nightmare, cause Akira had to face him and 4 bosses from the 30th floor, red wolves that tagged along. He went full stealth mode to sneak attack and deal some serious damage to each one from behind, before somehow taking them down. The main dude knew he had to learn to fight without relying on skills and take down baddies fast with just sword moves. So, from the 51st floor to the 59th, he ditched stealth and threat detection on purpose to level up his curved blade skill and get comfy with it. But now, he wasn't sure he could keep that up. After finishing his meal, he packed up and headed to the boss room. Once he went through the door, it slammed shut and wouldn't open again until he beat the enemy. So, basically it was either game over for him, or he had to take down the boss himself. That creature had a lion's head on its chest, a goat's body behind it, and a venomous snake tail. It was the look of a monster from Greek mythology called Chimera. The boy thought it would be a breeze since it was a one-on-one fight, but no time to chill. The enemy was already on the move. With his sword he tried to fight back, but the beast's body was tough as nails, and before he could even think, the snake spat venom his way. He was pretty naive to think that fight would be a simple one-on-one showdown. It had no blind spots, not even in the back, and that was way worse than a 2-on-1 battle. But no time to dwell on it, as the boss charged at him again, this time pinning him to the ground with its paw. From the pain, Akira thought he might have cracked a rib or two, and decided that from now on he was going to go all out. Then, he used shadow magic, but with that, his mind started to drift. As his mind faded, he had a hazy memory of Commander Saran saying, "Yo, so this shadow magic thing? It's got a mind of its own, and if you're not careful, it could totally take over. Plus, it eats up mana like crazy. Sure, it's super strong, but it's got some major issues." Akira was warned to always stay on his toes when using it. The place reeked of blood, like a weirdly sweet smell. Before he blacked out, the dude thanked the shadows, thinking, "Man, fighting a boss without any skills is rough." Once he was out cold, the shadows checked out his injuries, and since they were pretty bad, they kicked in the shadow magic to heal him up. But his mana was running on empty, so they used the backup mana stored in the shadow magic. Way back, the big guy Aether made the heavens and the earth. Then, using himself as a blueprint, he made humans, elves, demons, and beastmen. Aether hooked them up with land, jobs, and some status to keep them safe. He hoped they'd grow and chill his heart, already stressed by godly drama. But turns out, people were just as greedy as the gods. Wanting more land, stuff, and partners, they started wars all over. So Aether, fed up with their nonsense, made monsters and split the lands into 4. Demons who could control monsters got booted to the fiery volcano continent. Elves picked the land with sky-high sacred trees, forest. Humans and beastmen kept scrapping till the end. Humans snagged the biggest, richest land, Cantinen, leaving beastmen with brute. That's how each race got their turf, but demons kept causing trouble. Even now, demons are the universal bad guys. After dreaming about meeting Commander Saren, Akira woke up from his boss fight KO. He was shocked his wounds were gone, but first things first, he needed food, cause he was starving. The boss didn't look too gross, no bugs, so roasting it should be fine. In Morrigan, even non-magical folks can do basic stuff, like make a tiny fire or some water. First bite of the meat, flavor explosion in his mouth, but he was still puzzled about his healed wounds. Sure, he was about to meet the Grim Reaper. No way a random adventurer showed up and healed him, right? And he definitely didn't have any resurrection skills. But checking his status, he found a new skill. Good luck. He wished he'd had that skill sooner. Maybe then he could have stopped the plot against Commander Saran. While pondering, his threat detection went off, helping him dodge something from above. Not just threat detection, his perception was going nuts too. No doubt someone else was around, but he couldn't see them, so he figured he'd take out that slime first. One sword slash, and the slime was toast. As it melted, a girl appeared inside it. So he hung around, waiting for her to wake up, cause leaving her in that dungeon wasn't an option. With long pointy ears and a pretty face, she was probably one of those elves Saran talked about. Akira knew elves loved nature and sacred trees, and weren't fans of tree-chopping humans. But it was rare for an elf to leave the forest continent, so why was she here? All he could do was wait for her to wake up. Since arriving in this world, his life had been a wild ride of crazy events, learning, and training. So just sitting and waiting was a new kind of boring for him. With a clear mind, he suddenly remembered he had this epic skill he was itching to try out, but he had no clue how to use it. He'd totally forgotten about this extra skill, Eye of the World, until now, so he figured, why not give it a shot? But when he activated it, his brain got hit with so much info, it felt like his head was gonna explode. No cap. He quickly turned it off and realized, yep, another skill he couldn't spam. But when he used it, a quick pop-up explained what it was all about. It said using it lets you see the whole truth of the world, and you can tweak the area size. With that, he got that he could make it bigger by adjusting his view. While testing it out, the girl inside the slime woke up and asked where they were. Meanwhile, back at the king's crib, a dude rolled up to the princess's room where she kept her cursed stuff, and he went full-on sword mode, smashing everything. When he was done, he snapped out of it and was like, "Where am I?" Now, with the mystery girl awake, Akira asked if she was okay or anything. She said she was cool, but then her stomach growled like a hungry bear, so the dude offered her some of his snacks, but before he could say a word, she dove in like a ninja. Right after, she hid behind a pillar, like a shy kitten. And Akira called her over to munch some more, and she sat down in front of him, all chill. Then he asked why she was in that slime and what went down. She said she had no clue, and even if she did, she wouldn't spill the tea. Maybe because she woke up while Akira was using the World Eye skill, but now he could totally see her status panel. Turns out, she wasn't just any elf, but a top-tier elf, and her stats were off the charts, even more OP than his isekai squad. She also had the World Eye, just like him, and he thought maybe extra skills weren't that rare. She could see his stats too, and asked why he was there. She didn't even hide that she could see his name on his status bar. Akira said he was just grinding levels. Her white hair and red eyes were way different from the elves he'd heard about, who had blonde hair and blue eyes. The MC asked Amelia what her plans were and if she was heading back to the elf continent. She said nah, she was thinking of sticking around with him. Akira planned to head back when the time was right, after finishing that dungeon. But Amelia said he had no place in the human castle. He asked how she was so sure, and she said she just knew, because he had the same eyes as hers, so he should get it too. Akira said if she was talking about the World Eye, she should know his level was too low to get what she meant, but she said it was because he was holding back, so he said they should call it a night. The elf promptly lay down and said goodnight to him. The MC tossed her a cloth to cover up. Akira expanded his threat detection range, just in case. Before sleeping, Amelia thought about how what she said didn't just apply to him, because she also had nowhere to go back to, and while thinking, she felt a warm breeze from Akira. He sent his magic her way, but his words were kinda harsh, and his look was a bit intense. But maybe he was a softie deep down. Back in her elf village days, no one cared for her like that. Even her own little sis turned her back on her. Through the eye skill, she found out he wasn't from that world, and she wondered what his world was like. The night passed, the sun came up, and that morning, everyone got called by the hero for a meeting. And one dude joked, asking if he was planning to go fight the demon lord now or something. Tsukasa said yep, and he was thinking of going today, or actually, right now. All his buddies started whispering about the hero's sudden move, but them saying stuff like that was totally expected by Tsukasa. Alright, buckle up for this epic tale. So, turns out, the curse was messing with their heads, and deep down, they knew their team-up was about to hit Splitsville. And this dude kept bugging our hero, saying he'd lose his hero badge if he kept acting all reckless. The king and princess were pulling all the strings to make him bow down, like they were the puppet masters or something. So, our hero was ready to peace out of that castle, even if it meant going solo, but then, surprise, someone piped up saying they'd tag along. Besides Asahina, who just volunteered, 2 more girls jumped in, saying they had his back. This got the hype train rolling, and 3 more peeps were like, "Count us in." The squad of 6 gathered up and bounced from the meeting room, ready for action. Tsukasa was all, "Let's roll out as soon as we're packed and ready." Even if the king threw a fit, he was the one who sent them to take down the demon lord, so they were like, "We're out of here." They planned to ditch the castle before anyone could stop them, so it was a mad dash to pack and regroup. A few hours later, they regrouped, ready to roll. While waiting for the squad, Tsukasa was curious why they were all in. Ueno was like, "Yo, I think we're curse-free now, feeling different from yesterday." Asahina was like, "Can't say for sure, but maybe it's something I did." He spilled the tea about waking up in a mystery room with a bunch of crystals, 6 of them smashed. He couldn't remember much, but he was pretty sure he was the one who smashed them. And, oh snap, he had a katana with him, like a ninja. He thought it was sketchy if anyone saw him there, so he ninja'd back to his room. Tsukasa put 2 and 2 together, realizing 6 crystals matched the squad count, minus him. One dude was like, "That's wild, your body just went rogue?" And he wondered if the katana was cursed. Ueno checked it out, but nah, no curse vibes. She handed it back, saying she'd never seen a katana so pure white, it was top tier. The dude tried to figure out the katana's secrets and found out its name was Hakaryu. Tsukasa was trying to crack the mystery of why only they broke free from the curse, but it wasn't the time for a deep dive. Tsukasa was like, "Let's bounce now." A knight tipped off the vice commander, saying the guards hadn't caught on that the hero squad had ghosted the castle. That was his parting gift to the hero. Mission complete with Commander Saran. He sent up a prayer for the heroes from another world. As they set off to face the demon lord, someone asked where the hero was leading them. Tsukasa was like, "Let's ditch the forest and get out of the kingdom, pronto." Asahina, with his instinct ability, felt they'd cross paths with Akira again if they stuck with Tsukasa. The trio had been classmates since forever, like kindergarten days. For some reason, Tsukasa always had beef with Akira, while the main dude was just chill, not caring about much. Because of that vibe, Asahina never got to chat with either of them. But one day, while wandering the city, he spotted the MC working construction. As he got closer, Akira was clueless about his name, as expected. But he noticed Akira was a bit shy about being caught there and asked if he wanted to keep it on the down low. Asahina promised to keep it hush-hush, saying the school didn't ban part-time gigs, so no worries. Akira just didn't want anyone, especially his little sis, to see him struggling. Asahina was surprised to learn he had a younger sister too. Akira showed a pic of his sis with a school friend, and turns out the other girl was Asahina's sis. They were stoked about the wild coincidence, said their goodbyes, and that was the start of their friendship. From that day on, they slowly got closer, even at school. And because of that, Asahina felt super guilty for not being there for Akira when the commander kicked the bucket. Ever since they landed in this wild world, he was totally clueless on how to chat with Akira, not even a hey. Even though Akira was the quiet kid in class, Asahina respected his space and never bothered him. But now, being apart like this, he wished he had just said something, anything before. Or maybe he just really wanted to have a convo with him. He wondered what kind of face he pulled when he was lost in those thoughts. Tsukasa snapped him out of it, asking why he tagged along. Even though he'd asked before, he wanted to know again since they hadn't really talked. Asahina told him not to freak out and said it was all about finding Akira again. He had this gut feeling he'd find Akira if he stuck with the hero, since they were kinda alike. Tsukasa told him to quit saying that. Just the thought gave him the creeps. But Asahina wondered if Tsukasa hated Akira because they were so similar. Tsukasa said, no way. He wouldn't hate someone just for being like him. Akira was the type to take on all the responsibility and then poof, vanish. While Tsukasa was all about protecting his crew solo and kept fighting every battle, and again, the hero was like, dude, stop saying that. Meanwhile, back in the dungeon, Akira was battling monsters with Amelia. Turns out, the elf was a total powerhouse, blasting magic and clearing rooms like a boss. When Amelia said she wanted to stick around, Akira thought she'd just slow him down, but nope. He was worried for nothing. After the fights, they chowed down to recharge. Akira showed her how to say thanks for the grub, and she was curious about him, asking about his fam and friends. Akira shared it was just him, his mom, and little sis. His dad bailed when he was 10, couldn't handle the pressure of a sick wife and kids. After that, they managed to live okay, with mom working from home and Akira juggling part-time gigs. This year, his sis wanted to work part-time too. Maybe she was worried since Akira was hardly home. Amelia said she got it. She had a younger sis too. Her sis was like the golden child, beautiful, talented, loved by all, while Amelia felt like she was always in her shadow. But Akira saw the bright side, saying if her sis was perfect, she couldn't improve. He thought people were cooler with a few flaws. If Amelia's sis was that perfect, he figured they wouldn't vibe. That reminded him of Tsukasa hiding behind his perfect facade. This convo wore him out, so he switched topics, saying he craved some rice. Amelia mentioned a country where he could get rice, a place built by a past hero called Yamato. She heard they even had hot springs, a total chill spot. Now Akira was hyped to visit, but first, he had to level up. After eating, they kept exploring, and Amelia thought Akira was strong enough, maybe stronger than most humans. Akira said even without the eye of the world, he knew it was weird. His stats were higher than the hero's. The elf asked if he still wanted to level up. Akira said he aimed for level 100, the goal Commander Saran set for him. But if he rushed leveling up, his body couldn't keep up, since his skills needed work. That's why Akira tried to clear a floor using just his sword skills, no other powers. But it was super tough solo. He'd be toast without his abilities. So Amelia offered to back him up. The elf whipped out some creation magic and slapped a sealing skill on our hero. Akira, all awkward and stuff, asked if that was what she meant by helping him. While they were chatting, a demonic bat swooped in to mess with the MC. He whipped out his sword, all panicky, saying he couldn't use any of his cool powers. Amelia, chill as a cucumber, said she sealed them all, but no worries. She'd back him up if things got hairy, so he should solo it first. Akira tried to throw hands with the bat but couldn't land a hit or dodge a thing. Even though he'd clobbered that bat before, white bats are sneaky, messing with your senses, making them hard to spot, but no biggie. He had perception and stealth, but fighting without his powers, total nightmare mode. Amelia told him to ditch the 5 senses. She reminded him she only sealed his powers, not his mana, so he should feel that mana bubbling inside. If he could vibe with his mana, she'd bet he'd boost his physical game too. When he focused, he felt a familiar buzz, like before. Every time he used stealth, his mana would sync with the world and cloak him, so if he didn't blend his mana, he could dodge the bat and slice it with his sword, splitting it in 2. Seeing that, Amelia was like, "How'd you pull that off?" He said he took her advice and tweaked his mana control a bit. She was blown away because his mana was doing its own thing. If he were an enchanter with special magic, sure. But pulling off remote magic control like that? Crazy hard. No other human could pull that off. Only the first hero nailed it like he did. They kept going down the dungeon till they hit the next boss room. It was massive. Way bigger than the other ones. It was the 80-floor boss room, but the enemy was MIA. Akira quickly spotted it and warned the elf the boss was above them. A giant black dragon, no time to admire it before it breathed fire at them. Akira grabbed Amelia to shield her, saying they couldn't touch it while it was airborne. He asked if she could yank the dragon down with gravity magic. She said she'd try and told him to watch out for the dragon crash. She cast her magic, making it nosedive from above. Akira seized the moment and charged with his sword. He aimed for the neck, and it felt like he hit the back of its throat. Amelia yelled from below, telling him to bail, but he got tossed to the ground. He got up, all wobbly like, no one told him dragons could tank a throat hit like that. But he felt he'd done some serious damage, so even if they canceled the gravity magic, it probably couldn't fly. Amelia noticed something off about the dragon. Even though the MC's stats were off the charts, and she didn't doubt his sword's sharpness, he pierced the dragon too easily, so she wondered if it was too weak. When she said that, Akira thought, compared to the Chimera from the last boss room, something was fishy with this dragon, and even if he peeked at its stats, they seemed incomplete, and he thought dragons should have higher stats. And then, the dragon came at them again. Akira told the elf to stay behind him to dodge attacks. He kept dodging fire and closing in on the dragon. Just like Amelia said, something was off, but if the katana worked, why hesitate? So the hero charged full speed at the dragon, leaping at its head and stabbing its eye with his katana, activating dark magic. With that, the dragon hit the ground, and somehow, Akira pulled off the win. Whoa, plot twist. The dragon just morphed into a cat, and Akira's brain is doing somersaults. I mean, 1 second it's a fire-breathing beast, and the next, it's a fluffy kitty. Mind blown, right? Akira's all, wait, what? Because, dragons don't just poof into cats every day. But hey, the status screen now says, Black Cat, so it's official. Then, plot twist number 2, the cat starts chatting. It's like, wow, a human with such a goofy face beat me? Impressive. Talk about a backhanded compliment. The cat spills the beans, saying no humans ever made it this far, so maybe it got a bit too cocky. Classic villain move, right? Akira's not having it though. He's like, oh, you think my face is stupid? Right back at ya, furball. Switching gears, the cat's got a message delivery gig. Akira's curious, who's it from? And boom, it's from the Demon Lord. Dun dun dun. The message? Yo, Akira, meet me at the Demon Castle on Volcano Island. Sounds like a trap, but also kinda epic. Meanwhile, Tsukasa and the crew are off on their own adventure, trekking to a place called Yamato. Road trip vibes. Akira's scratching his head, wondering why the Demon Lord's got his number. The cat's like, dude, even I don't get the boss's plans. I'm just the messenger. But here's the kicker, all those bosses Akira fought? Yeah, the Demon Lord made them. They're like his magical CCTV cameras. Creepy, right? Akira's shook, thinking God made those baddies. But the cat's like, nah, that's just fairy tales. I was there when the boss whipped us up. Akira's mind's racing, wondering if Commander Saran's tales were just bedtime stories. Maybe humans got it all wrong from the start. Then, Plot twist number 3, the cat's all, okay, time to end me. Mission accomplished, and I'm out of magic tricks. But Akira's like, no way, you're too cute to off. Look at that fluffy fur. Amelia jumps in for a pet session, and the cat's just trying to keep it together. The cat's like, I'm only sticking around cause I'm too busted to run. Seriously, just finish me off. But Akira's got a plan. Join us, kitty. We'll find you a new gig, and maybe the demon lord will spill some secrets. The cat's skeptical. You sure? Cause everything I say goes straight to the boss. Akira's confident. We'll figure it out. We won, so you're with us now. The cat's like, all right, but no takebacks. Inside the boss room, Akira's lost. No exit in sight. It's like the room's playing hide and seek with him. The cat's like, yeah, that's cause I'm still kicking. The dungeon's got a mind of its own, and it won't let us out. Akira's determined. Even if it's easier to off you, we're sticking together. Amelia's got an idea. Let's name the kitty first. The cat's curious. You mean a master-servant pact? Amelia's all, nah, it's a soul-binding contract. Only a few humans can do it, but it's worth a shot. And the one who turned this connection into a ritual, now called a pact, was the first hero, and she was totally convinced Akira could control his mana however he wanted, just like the first hero. Then he'd become the new boss of the cat and free him from his gig as the room's head honcho. The cat mentioned the pact wouldn't be a thing unless both the master and servant gave the thumbs up. Plus, once the pact was locked in, unless both wanted out, it was a forever deal, till death do them part. And once they were linked, they'd always know where the other was and could even chat through telepathy. The moment one of them kicked the bucket, the other would soon follow, like a tragic buddy movie. Normal humans usually freaked out after hearing this part. And he wasn't even gonna bring up that weird mana vibe he got when near Akira. So he asked Akira to spill the beans and wondered if he was even human. The MC said maybe he had already crossed into monster territory. Then the cat agreed to the pact, since he couldn't face the demon lord after losing to a human kid. The two sealed a master-servant pact for life. Akira decided his name would be Yoru, inspired by his skin, which looked like the night sky. After sealing the pact, a crest popped up on the MC's hand, proving they were linked, and now they could chat telepathically. Akira was unsure what the demon lord would think, since he became the master of one of his creations, but Yoru told him to chill and not sweat the small stuff. Then, out of nowhere, the room's door swung open, just as they thought it might. The exit was different now. No stairs or door. It looked like a magic circle. Amelia explained it was a transfer magic circle, and whoever stepped in could go wherever they wanted. If more than one person stepped in, the circle would pick one person's wish, and everyone would be zapped there. The circle was super similar to the one that showed up in the boy's classroom before he woke up in that world. If this magic circle was the same as that one, it might mean someone wanted to visit that parallel universe. Maybe just because they thought their world was a snooze fest and wanted to spice things up. Everyone's probably thought something like that at least once, right? Meanwhile, in the city of Yamato, the squad that set out with the hero arrived and immediately went to chow down. Besides the grub, the bath and clothes were just like their Japanese culture. Tsukasa asked Asahina and Suda if they could hang out after eating because there was a book he was dying to find. He wasn't asking them to buy it, just wanted them to hear him out. At that moment, there were tons of things in that world that were totally new to them. If they hadn't bumped into a merchant in the forest, they wouldn't have made it there. Since they weren't allowed in the castle's library, they never suspected a thing. That country was built like Japan, and for people like them, it was super appealing, so hearing about it, they'd end up loving it, just like they already did. Tsukasa wanted to team up with Akira, but he thought Asahina might not be on board. But once everything was set, his goal was to head to the continent where the demon lord was, because he was the hero, not Akira, so he wouldn't wait for him, nor chase him. His mission was to beat the Lord ASAP. His role was to get back to his original world with everyone, so they agreed on what each would do to explore as much of that place as possible. And after they finished eating, they'd form the groups. Back in the dungeon with the protagonist, since there were no more stairs and the circle appeared, it meant the 81st floor was the Labyrinth's last stop. Yoru said it was definitely the Labyrinth's will, and they said if he stepped in, he could go wherever he wanted. Akira said he felt something off about that floor, and that he had probably traveled through the whole labyrinth. Still, they hadn't hit the level 100 area, so he'd keep going until he found it. Upon hearing this, Yoru asked if he was hunting for a level 100 area in that place. The boy replied that this was the advice Commander Saran left for him. When the cat heard the name, it was like, whoa, I know that name. Turns out, ages ago, someone named Saran was at the main temple. The main dude was all, he got murdered, and I'm here for payback. And his vibe was so intense, Amelia got the chills. Yoru was like, with that kind of bloodlust, this guy's not even human anymore. The MC was like, that labyrinth was no joke. and instead of unbreakable swords, they were snapping like twigs. The cat was like, "If you only use sword moves, you'll be toast at the main temple." That labyrinth was packed with tough enemies throwing punches. If swords were a no-go, magic was the way to go to beat those creatures. If he walked in with a sword and skipped magic in the labyrinth, winning was a long shot. Then the boy realized training with a sword in the labyrinth was like playing on hard mode. Yoru kept going, saying each labyrinth had its own quirks. Like, there was one where magic was as useful as a chocolate teapot against monsters. The labyrinth in the elven forest was probably one of those. Now, knowing all this, Akira figured if he wanted a level 100 floor, he'd need to hit up a labyrinth on another continent. Then it was time to bounce. Yoru shrank down to a regular cat size to make things chill for everyone. That magic circle might just zap him back to his OG world, where his mom and little sis were waiting, so he should totally try to get back ASAP. But still, in that world, there were things he felt he had to do. He couldn't just dip now, and he couldn't bail on what he started, so Akira conquered the Cantonin Labyrinth and was ready for the next level with new pals. A quick flashback showed Amelia's childhood with her little sis. They had a blast together, sneaking around, checking out books and scrolls. They found a picture of two girls with matching faces. One had white hair and red eyes, the other had golden hair and green eyes. They were twins, just like them. One of them wondered what the pic said. Then an adult showed up and asked if they wanted to know what it said. With a creepy voice, he said it read, "Penitence." Back to now, Akira and Amelia popped out of the teleport, but something spooked her. The giant sacred tree in the middle of the island screamed they were in elven territory. Amelia was like, "Why are we here? I just wanted to hang with you." She turned to him and was like, "This is bad, really bad. You shouldn't be here." The protagonist's spidey senses kicked in, and he jumped to shield the elf from an arrow. He quickly spotted the enemy in a tree and charged at him. With his dagger, he pinned the enemy, saying if he moved, it was game over for his neck. Amelia knew who it was right away. It was an elf from the fancy Liam Gladiolus family. He was like, "Princess Amelia, you caught me off guard." He didn't expect the girl who ditched the country to show up. The girl tried to clap back, but he kept going, saying it didn't matter if she bailed. And he said she thought disappearing was the best move. He said there was no place for her there because they had Kirika. And he said Kirika-sama, the big shot, would be there soon, and they couldn't escape. Akira knocked the dude out and told Yoru to grow so they could ride him and use the guy as a hostage. Amelia was freaking out, asking what he was doing because they needed to scram. While riding the cat, she said the forest was crawling with elves. Getting out of there was a no-go, and they definitely get caught. The protagonist asked her to lead them to an open spot. In the middle of all those trees, using the katana was a pain. If they could reach an open area, he'd handle it somehow. So she went with the boy's plan and started showing the way. When they hit an open field surrounded by forest, Akira could feel they were already surrounded by elves in the trees. While they were under attack, with no way out, a massive group of bloodthirsty ones closed in. Akira asked Yoru to keep an eye on Amelia while the elves, hiding in the forest, were all set to ambush them. One soldier was like, "Free Liam," and the boy was all, "If I hand over this unarmed dude, will you let us bounce?" Kirika, Amelia's little sis, was like, "As long as we're running and hiding, you ain't leaving without a scratch." Akira was confused. "Why are we treated like criminals? Amelia's a princess here." The girl took off her glove, showing a scar. "Amelia did this with a poison potion when she betrayed me. She said anyone challenging the royal fam deserved to be treated like criminals, even if it meant hurting her own sis." While claiming Amelia hurt her on purpose, the elven princess yelled, "That's a lie!" Amelia was like, "I gave a potion, but someone swapped it for poison." With no proof, Kiriko was like, "No point in talking about it." She added that Amelia's existence was a disgrace, calling her the unwanted child. Kiriko walked over to Akira, grinning, "Thanks for bringing my sis here." Amelia yelled, "Don't look into her eyes, you'll get hypnotized." But it was too late. The younger one teased, "Now that guy's heart is mine, and you got no allies." Amelia shot back, "Apologize to Akira. His heart's his own, and you can't have it." This bold move puzzled Kirika, as Amelia was just shaking a moment ago. Kirika screamed, "What's wrong with using my power? Once hypnotized, no one escapes, so he's mine now." To their shock, Akira was like, "Since when am I anyone's toy?" Kirika was baffled why hypnosis didn't work, wondering if he was stronger. She thought it was impossible, being a gold rank adventurer, thinking she was top tier. The MC had read about that rank in a royal book, saying only 4 people were at that level worldwide. Fuming, Kirika declared that commoners like them needed to know their place, threatening to cut them down. She challenged Akira, warning if he lost, he'd see how foolish he was and still have to hand over Amelia. The protagonist was like, "If I win, promise not to chase us again." Out of respect for Kirika being Amelia's sis, he didn't draw his katana. The elf was offended he wouldn't fight to kill. When ready to duel, Akira asked if the elves would just watch. Kirika confirmed, saying she'd take him down herself. As the fight started, Akira zoomed in like lightning, landing a blow that floored the elf. That one move ended the fight in seconds. The soldiers were shook by what they saw. Akira claimed victory and started packing to leave. He left Liam knocked out, hopped on Yoru with Amelia, and reminded Kirika of her promise. The elf refused to accept defeat, ordering soldiers to stop them. Archers got their arrows ready, not accepting Kirika's loss. A rain of arrows came at them, and Akira used dark magic to protect everyone. The guards were stunned as shadows destroyed each arrow. Kirika realized the magic could wipe out hundreds at once. Then, the king, dad of the elves, showed up from the trees. She asked why he was there, thinking he had other stuff to do. The king said returning to the palace was urgent and wanted to know what went down. He mentioned he'd been watching, saw his daughter challenge Akira and get wrecked in one hit. The king pointed out that the fight ended in a way Kirika didn't plan, and because of that, the rear troops attacked from behind, which was a big no-no for the royal fam's pride. He asked again what his daughter was trying to do with Amelia. Kirika, super annoyed, snapped that the woman wasn't her sister, and bam, she got slapped right after. Some guards tried to back her up, saying Amelia was super mean to her. The king quickly realized everyone was under some hypnosis spell, and told Kirika to knock it off. He then went up to his eldest daughter, said sorry for what went down, and for not keeping a better eye on things. He also asked if she really wanted to bounce from the country with that dude. Amelia stayed quiet, so he reminded her she had royal duties and needed to get that. But her freedom was on the line in that duel. Kirika lost, and now the king had to keep his word. The king turned to Akira and said he wanted the young dude to fight again. If he won the next round, he'd get a royal thumbs up from the king himself. The main guy asked if the challenge was against the king. The king said nope, it'd be against Kirika again. The elf, super ticked, asked why since she already lost once. The dad explained she underestimated Akira, overestimated herself, and lost because she wasn't careful. He said even so, she was the top elven swordswoman in the kingdom and would fight the rematch for the king. Then, the king explained to Akira that normally he'd be seen as an illegal intruder for sneaking into the country. Whether he'd be treated as a trespasser or a guest depended on how strong he was. On the way back to the castle, the king told everyone to follow him. Akira thought the elven king was a real pain, which made sense since he was trying to take his daughter away. As they walked, Amelia cried, saying her dad didn't love her. Hearing this, the main guy asked why she thought that. The elf said the king only gave Kirika another shot at a rematch and didn't care about her wishes. She also said he always took her sister's side because Amelia was the unwanted kid, and the parents didn't want her to be born. After this venting session, they got to the elven palace, which was super spacious. She told the main guy that ministers, nobles, and servants were all under Kirika's hypnosis. It was announced, in the king's name, that Kirika Rosequartz and Akira Oda would duel. The two got ready in front of the throne to start the fight, but before they began, the main guy asked if the king hadn't told his daughter to break the spell. Akira added that, once again, he wouldn't use the katana's blade, keeping it sheathed. At that moment, Kirika warned she'd fight with everything she had. When the king declared the fight on, the elf zoomed at the young guy and managed to nick his cheek. This time, she showed off her high-level sword skills, which made Akira want to wrap it up fast. She said that him accepting the duel without whining meant he must really care about Amelia. If their dad wasn't so stubborn and treated her sister better, things would be way easier. Kirika activated the Gale ability and charged at him again. The strength and speed of her hits went up a lot, but still weren't enough to land on the young guy. Knowing the elf was finally getting serious, Akira decided to do the same and cranked up the dark magic. The main guy wrapped himself in the black cloak, using it for both defense and attack. That duel got pretty intense, even though there was still a power gap between them. Akira asked why. With each hit, it seemed like Kirika was crying. She said he should open his eyes and see that she was actually smiling. The boy asked if she hated Amelia, and if it was just because her sister was the unwanted kid. Kirika said it was an old superstition, and it was said long ago that one of the twins would be killed. For elves, it's tough to have a kid who lives long. The custom of offing valuable kids was ditched in their grandpa's time. Akira asked again why she always blamed Amelia for being the unwanted kid. Alright, buckle up, cause this story's about to get wild. So, the princess was all, isn't it funny how Amelia doesn't look like mom or dad, but she's still the favorite? Total sibling drama, right? Turns out, Amelia's a Miko, which is like this super rare class where the universe just bends over backward to make your dreams come true. People say, Mikos are God's faves, so no wonder she's the golden child. After that, Kirika felt like she was invisible. If Amelia was God's fave, Kirika was like, what am I? Chopped liver. Total elf crisis. Kirika looked at Amelia and was like, of course everyone loves you. You're all silver hair and red eyes, like some kind of magical unicorn. She wondered if things would be different if she was born first. Maybe she'd be the one with all the attention. But nope, just more fuel for her rage fire. So Kirika charged at the main dude, thinking he couldn't possibly get her feels. I mean, Akira and Amelia were living their best lives, so what did they know? But Akira was ready, blocking her attack with his armor. Then, boom. Liam shows up at the palace, yelling for Kirika to chill out. Liam was all, enough, princess, I can't watch you get hurt anymore. Then he went to Amelia, got on one knee and was like, sorry for all the chaos. Akira noticed Liam wasn't hypnotized anymore. Out of everyone, Liam was the only one who saw Kirika's struggle, even after meeting Amelia. But he still stuck by Amelia, which made Kirika lose it. She went full-on windstorm mode, ready to attack. Yoru, the little hero, jumped off the girl's lap, telling her to duck, promising to have her back. Before Kirika could land her hit, Akira broke her sword, sending it flying off course. Liam handed Amelia something, saying it could save Kirika. Amelia used a sacred branch with purifying magic, freeing everyone from Kirika's spell. The main dude told Kirika she lost, and she just sat there, totally wrecked, wondering where she messed up. Liam was the only one who saw her efforts, but he was still set to marry Amelia. Kirika wasn't about to lose him, so she made a bold move. For the first time, she used her own hypnosis on Liam. The king was shook, cause Liam was supposed to marry Amelia, but he chose Kirika instead. After the wedding, Kirika slowly took over the castle. She just wanted back everything she thought Amelia stole. The king was like, nah, Amelia didn't take anything from you. But Kirika snapped back, saying he always took Amelia's side. The king asked her to listen, saying he had a confession. He admitted he loved Kirika but stole a memory from her when she was little. It wasn't Amelia who took it, it was him. He regretted it big time and was ready to give it back using his oblivion power. Suddenly, Kirika's mind was flooded with old memories of her, Liam, and Amelia as kids, training and having a blast. In one adventure, Kirika went solo into a dungeon cause some dude said she'd get stronger in the deepest parts. It was a no-go zone without an escort, but the guy gave her an amulet for the dungeon. The surface creatures were too easy, so she needed tougher baddies to level up. After using the amulet, a monster swarm appeared, too many to handle, so she had to bail. Back on the surface, the monsters kept chasing her. She was like, what now? Then she saw Amelia and Liam running to help. Before they got close, she yelled for them to get the guards. Liam said the guards were on their way and she needed to bounce. Kirika argued that if they ran, the monsters would reach the civilians. As Liam rushed to help, he got hit in the chest by a creature. Remembering this, Kirika was crushed, knowing it was all her fault. She kept saying Liam died because of her, right up until the moment the dude himself strolled up, alive and kicking. The princess was totally confused, convinced she'd seen him bite the dust. The king was all, yeah, Liam totally died in that mess. When he got there, all he saw was the dungeon entrance, looking like it got hit by a wrecking ball. He found the girl drowning in her feels and Liam's body just chilling there. While the royal guards were monster hunting, the king couldn't just watch his daughter cry a river, so he whipped out his oblivion skill and scooped up Kirika's knocked-out body. Meanwhile, Amelia was busy casting resurrection magic on Liam, trying to bring him back from the dead. She also sealed the dungeon entrance with some epic gravitational magic. Amelia invented 2 new types of magic, which she didn't even know she could do, thanks to her magic creation skill. She did all that to keep the monsters at bay. With Kirika all shook up, the king asked for forgiveness, worried his daughter couldn't handle the pain, and ended up making things worse. He realized today that he was the one with the weak heart, unable to watch his daughter suffer. He used his own fear as an excuse, and didn't have the guts to give Kirika her memories back. The protagonist went up to Amelia and said it was her turn now. Time to switch off the Eye of the World skill, since she'd never turned it off before. Akira admitted he never felt she was really looking at him, even when her eyes were locked on his. Now he got where Amelia was actually looking. The boy said there was nothing to fear anymore, and that the elf should face Kirika and have a real chat with her sis. Amelia always stressed about stuff she didn't get. She never got what people thought or what they wanted from her. No matter how much she watched people smile, she just couldn't figure out what they meant. So, she kept leveling up the Eye of the World, thinking she'd find answers in the status windows. Since she was little, she was scared of everything. Now, after all that happened, she felt she could chill and had the guts to turn off the skill. She started seeing all the world's awesomeness clearly and, most importantly, her sister's face. Through the tears, the two hugged it out, and Kirika said sorry for everything she'd done. Amelia looked into her sister's eyes, totally moved, like she could finally feel her thoughts. The king came over and asked for forgiveness for everything that went down. Akira, watching from afar, realized this whole mess happened because they tried to handle everything. solo for too long. This whole scene reminded the protagonist of his mom and Yui, his little sis. He also remembered what he told Amelia, back in the Labyrinth, about his dad disappearing 7 years ago. The struggles they went through without him were huge. And yeah, it made Akira mad. After seeing those three together, he remembered a scene he'd long forgotten. One morning, on a random day, his dad was in the kitchen, already dressed to go. He was making lunch for Akira and Yui, and the boy watched him from behind as he put everything together. Yui and Akira were twins, just like Amelia and Kirika, and since they were born on opposite sides of midnight on March 2nd, they ended up in different school years. Their dad took care of the two while also looking after their sick mom. He did a ton for them, and probably carried all that alone, without asking for help, without anyone to back him up. After seeing what happened in the Elven Kingdom, Akira thought that when he got back to Japan, he'd look for his dad. The king came up to the protagonist to apologize for the not-so-warm welcome, and said he'd be an honored guest in the Elven Kingdom. From now on, they'd give Akira the welcome he deserved. After the party and the feast, the boy wondered how long it had been since he had a meal that good. He also remembered the chat about the eye of the world with Amelia, when he told her she didn't need to fake being strong, while inside she was scared. On the flip side, what she said in the Labyrinth about him also feeling fear was spot on. The two were super similar, and both were scared of that power. When Akira fired up the eye of the world for the last time, his vision got spammed with message windows, but deep down, in a flash, he caught a glimpse of something. In that snapshot, the Demon King totally wrecked the hero and his squad, and the whole world went down the drain, which was probably the most likely future at that moment. Every time he thought of that vision, it felt like someone had punched him right in the feels, so he was all about stopping that future before heading back to his homeworld. Amelia's resurrection skill would be a game changer if she decided to roll with him. While he was deep in thought, the elf popped up. She mentioned she hadn't seen him since dinner and that finding him there was like a game of hide and seek. Akira said he was just catching some air and asked how she was doing now that she patched things up with her dad and little sis. Amelia thanked him big time, saying he was the MVP for making it all happen. The main dude mentioned she told the king she'd join him, but now she had no reason to bounce from the country. That was her turf, she was the princess there. While he was talking, Amelia cut in and asked him to peep the stars in the sky. The thousands of twinkling stars, which she could now see clearly, seemed like a blessing. She said she wanted to see loads more of them across the vast world with Akira. She was sure she'd be a solid teammate, so she decided to tag along for the whole adventure. Their moment got crashed by Kirika, who showed up like a tornado. The younger princess said she'd been hunting for her sister the whole time. She apologized for crashing their alone time. She said it had been ages since they had a sleepover, even though she was all grown up. She wanted to enjoy that night before Amelia bounced to faraway lands. Akira told Amelia to go with Kirika, saying he'd chill a bit longer, soaking in the breeze. When the two walked off, the main dude was deep in thought about what he was gonna say. The moment Amelia said she'd join him, Akira was shook but also super stoked. He mulled it over and decided it was bedtime, as it was already late. From a high tree branch, Yoru watched the dude and thought he was pretty stubborn, clueless about his own feels, and totally awkward. The next morning, Akira, Amelia, and Yoru were ready to roll, and the king came to see them off. The princess told her dad not to stress, and promised she'd swing by to visit the fam. The king asked Akira to look out for her and mentioned he'd set up an escort to roll with them to the border. He assured them he wasn't being overprotective, just genuinely worried. He mentioned that recently, the number of kidnapping incidents had spiked in the country, which was why he had to leave the castle the previous day. Because of this, he asked the guards to roll with the trio to the border to make sure they got there safely. The main dude accepted the help, and the three set off, escorted by the soldiers on their new adventure. Meanwhile, Tsukasa's crew was grinding missions in the country of Yamato to stack cash and keep their journey going. Over time, they also managed to hit gold-ranked adventurers, even though the surface monsters were way weaker than those in the Labyrinth. If the baddies were a bit tougher, they would have leveled up way faster. They smashed all the toughest missions they found, so they didn't think they could level up more than that. The hero Tsukasa was already thinking it was time to bounce from that country. Two girls asked Asahina and Nanase how their investigation was going. They said they roamed the city and asked people if they knew someone named Oda Akira, but sadly, they still hadn't found anything. It seemed Akira hadn't hit that country yet. Tsukasa got that Asahina wanted to stick around in that city, which seemed the most likely spot to find the main dude. He wondered how he could convince his buddy to leave that country. To his surprise, Asahina announced it was time to jet. Until a few days before, he felt Akira would show up there. Since the dude wasn't the type to be late, he was almost sure the dude had already moved on. Now they just needed to go where they had to go, without stressing too much about Akira. So, The hero whipped out a map of the continent and showed where the humans lived, where they had come from, and how they landed in the country of Yamato. It probably wouldn't be a smart move to hang on that same continent, as the king must have sent guards after them. So they hit the jackpot with a port nearby, meaning they could hop on a ship and sail off to new lands. They were already bummed about leaving behind the epic Japanese-style food. One of the crew asked Suda to handle the food sitch. She was chill with it, but said whipping up traditional dishes without the right spices would be a mission. So they decided to stock up on their own stash and bring it all on the ship. They asked Tsukasa where they were headed, and he was all about going straight to the Demon King's crib. But first, he wanted to level up the squad and upgrade their gear, cause it was looking pretty beat. They needed to find a city to snag some new equipment and fix up their stuff. While they were chatting, some random dude eavesdropping said he had a spot in mind for them. Meanwhile, in a far-off cave, magic was popping off in the middle of an underground lake. A girl popped up in the magic circle, grinning, saying she could finally run wild again and was ready to wreck everything. Akira and Amelia, chilling in another part of the world, were figuring out their next move. The main dude said the destination didn't matter much, just that they had to fulfill Commander Saran's wish. He was counting on the elf to help him hit level 100. He wanted to reach that level to snag an extra legendary skill. His goals were to avenge Commander Saran, stop the future he saw with the Eye of the World, where Tsukasa and the crew bit the dust, find the castle Yoru mentioned, the Demon Lord's crib, and most importantly, get way stronger. Amelia said no human had ever hit level 100, and that legendary skill was basically a fairy tale. Still, if that's what he really wanted, she'd stick by his side on the journey. Yoru asked if he could throw in a suggestion since Akira seemed fresh out of ideas. It was rare for the cat to step up, so the main dude decided to hear him out. Yoru suggested the Beast Continent, Brute. He said loads of beast men were top-notch blacksmiths. It'd probably be smart to learn more about the boy's sword. Akira mentioned it was getting tough to handle the weapon solo. While they were talking, the main dude sensed a bunch of people nearby. It seemed like a big group, just over the hill. The guards spotted the crew and quickly realized they were kidnappers, rushing to protect the civilians. Some folks tried to fight back when the soldiers rolled in to help. One of the baddies grabbed a girl and told everyone to freeze or else. When he started barking orders to drop their weapons, Akira was already behind him, ready to disarm him. The other guys bragged that no one should mess with the blue-class criminal guild called Shark, but the boy kept smacking them around. He even roasted the enemies for never hearing of that squad. After taking a serious beating, the kidnappers started wondering who this dude was. They decided, whispering among themselves, that they needed to bail, even if it wasn't the original plan. The elven guards were all about not letting them escape, but even though they were just blue class, there were loads of them. Akira figured he'd have to jump in and used shadow magic to trap the goons. One of the guys, almost caught by the main dude's magic, chucked a knife at the last second. The blade zoomed towards Amelia, totally exposed. Akira used shadow magic again to shield his friend. Because of this move, all the baddies managed to escape. While Amelia thanked him, Yoru joked that the boy could have saved the girl sooner, but chose to be dramatic. The main dude picked up the weapon the baddie tossed and recognized the emblem on it. He asked Amelia if she'd ever heard of the name Graham. The guard captain explained it was the name of a noble in Uruk, the biggest country in the Beastmen's kingdom. There lived an aristocrat with that title. Hearing the name, Akira remembered seeing something similar while studying with Commander Saran. There was a page in one of the books with that emblem, and the name Uruk was on the same page. One of the soldiers came to tell the captain they had rescued the hostages and tied up the knocked-out kidnappers. Then Akira said they might have to part ways there. The kidnapping case the king mentioned before they left was probably linked to those guys, so the guards should take the injured and prisoners back home ASAP along with the marked weapon. The captain tried to say no, insisting his mission was to escort Amelia and Akira safely through the forest. The protagonist was all chill, saying no worries, they'd nailed the original mission. He said they were gonna hop on a boat to Brute at the port city and gave a big thanks for the escort. Later, the squad rolled up to the port of Uruk, the only seaside city of the Beastmen nation on Brute. Amelia was totally vibing with the place, since it was her first time there. Akira was low-key stressed about the whole scene since the ship ride. Every worker he saw was human, and he hadn't spotted any beastmen yet. Plus, he noticed nobody seemed to be fans of black cats. It was like everyone was giving them the side eye. Besides that, humans were definitely outnumbered. The boy had a gut feeling something sketchy was about to go down. 3 beastmen showed up trying to flex on Akira and demanded he hand over Amelia. The protagonist just ignored them, but the dudes started moving in on the trio. Akira whipped out some shadow magic and took them down like they were nothing. Even Amelia was like, "What just happened?" The attack was that slick and fast. Things were getting kinda wild. If they kept drawing attention, they'd be in deep trouble, so they had to bounce while they could. The three dipped out of the crowd real quick. They hit up a spot and asked if it was the Adventurers Guild. The attendant was like, "Yup, how can I help on your first visit?" Amelia flashed a gold adventurer tag and handed over a letter of intro. The guildmaster popped up, grabbed the letter, and started reading the Elf King's note. After reading, he greeted Amelia, saying he couldn't believe the king sent her, knowing it might get dicey. Akira was like, "What danger are we talking about?" The guy realized they were clueless and suggested they chat somewhere more private. Ringa, as he called himself, led them to another room and asked for drinks for the squad. Then he kicked off the formal chat, saying he was the guild master of Uruk. Akira and Amelia did their intros. The main dude said he also wanted to find someone in the country to fix his weapon. Ringa needed more deets and asked if Oda Akira was one of the heroes summoned from another world. With Akira's silence, Ringa got the hint. He said he'd heard about some stuff that went down there, super low-key. Akira said he's not the hero, even though he was summoned, so Ringa got that he just tagged along. Then he asked if he really is that shadow assassin, and yep, that's what people are calling him. Akira asked if the assassin class was supposed to be common. He said it's unfair that only he has to spill the beans. Then he told the guy he knows his class is also assassin. Ringa was shook and said, even though he's just a regular public servant, he realized he fits better as a guildmaster behind a desk than in combat. Not everyone works according to their class. It's pretty common. Switching gears, the guy wanted to ask the boy something else. He asked if the cat was just a regular black cat. Akira asked if it was a must-ask question, and the guy said no, but people there hate black cats. Because of some past drama, he thought Akira should know since he's planning to travel there. Then Ringa wrapped up the chat and told the boy to hit up the guild if he has issues. They'd be stoked to help. Watching them leave, Ringa was deep in thought about the nightmare of Adorea being back. Amelia asked Akira about a skill the guildmaster has, called No Interference. The main dude said she saw it with the eye of the world and said it's a tricky skill. At the guild reception, she didn't notice him until he grabbed the letter. It's a skill a lot like his presence concealment. While chatting, he felt a different vibe but shrugged it off and kept going. It was the guy tailing them, confirming it was just a cat. The trio hit up a hotel to snag a room. The receptionist helped them out and said he'd show them to their rooms. It had been ages since they crashed in a real bed, but first they were going to grab some grub after dropping their stuff. But seeing a bed next to another, Amelia felt a bit awkward. The boy said since they crashed together in the Labyrinth and on the ship too, he thought it wouldn't be a biggie. Yoru mentally whispered not to stress because he could feel the tension and would dip during the night. He asked if in the Master's world there's a saying about turning down a girl's advances or something, but they got cut off by Amelia asking what they were whispering about. Then Akira went to grab some food after the awkwardness hit. Amelia thought if it were with Akira she wouldn't mind. After munching, Amelia was about to pop from how much she ate. It had been forever since the MC chilled like that. Since he got summoned to that world actually. Even before that, he lived like he was always being watched, under mad pressure. As promised, Yoru really vanished during the night, leaving the two alone. But Akira turned to the side and told Amelia to keep the window open, just in case the cat wanted to sneak back in during the night. He was so zonked that he crashed instantly, and Amelia went over to give him a goodnight smooch. When daylight hit and our hero woke up, Yoru was already chilling back in the room. Amelia was sprawled out in her bed, rocking her PJs. Using his mind powers, the cat asked if the boy had a wild night, and he shrugged, saying nothing went down. Then Yoru told them to get their butts in gear because someone was dropping by today. Just as they were like, "Who's coming?" there was a knock at the door. The maid popped in, saying they had a visitor, and Akira was like, "Let him in!" In walked a tall dude, the master blacksmith, Mr. Crow. Our hero was shook to see a master blacksmith, especially the top dog in that world. This guy was part of the old hero squad. The man said he never thought he'd get a call from the nightmare of Adorea. The cat said that out of all the blacksmiths, he's the only one who can craft the weapon for his master. Akira and Amelia introduced themselves, and the man was like, "Name's Kuru. Heard a bit about you, kid." He asked to peep at his weapon and noticed the boy kept it in shape, but it needed more TLC. Seeing the scratches, he realized Akira went ham in the labyrinth. He noticed Akira had been using it on some beefy enemies in the continent's labyrinth. Akira asked if he could fix it, and the man was like, "Don't doubt me, but getting the materials will be a grind." Yoru said the boy needs to start stacking cash and gathering the materials for the fix. They can score money by hunting monsters, but the materials are a tough find. The man handed back some parts of the protagonist's katana and said he'd only handle the blade. He gave them a list of the stuff needed and said to hit him up when they got it all. When he bounced, Amelia, without a word, dashed after him. But instead of tagging along, Akira decided to roll solo to earn cash and gather the materials to fix his weapon. He asked Yoru to stick with the girl since they're linked, but not with Amelia. If anything goes down, he should hit him up with telepathy. He asked the cat to drop a message to the girl to be back before dinner. Amelia sprinted after the blacksmith to catch up. When she finally caught up, she said Yoru mentioned him being in the old hero squad. She wanted to confirm if the old hero went to take down the Demon King with the human, elf, and beastmen reps. But they flopped, and only the hero and the beastmen rep made it back. Kuru asked if she, being elven royalty, was salty about her rep not making it back. But Amelia said it wasn't that, but because he survived with the hero. That's why she thinks he's a beast, and she asked him to teach her how to throw down. Meanwhile, on the other side of the city, Akira was strolling, since without Yoru and Amelia, he was just another face in the crowd. He hit up the Adventurers Guild Hall to see how to sign up. The grinning attendant handed him a form to fill out his deets. But it seemed the attendant didn't clock Akira, even though he was there yesterday. He forgot how people usually overlook him. After filling out the form, Myru explained he'd start as a first-rank adventurer and handed him the gray rank tag. From top to bottom, the ranks go gold, silver, red, yellow, blue, and gray. The necklace is also his ID, so he better not lose it. Akira asked how to get into the country's dungeon. The guy explained the continent's labyrinth is in this city, so he first has to level up to yellow rank, as the labyrinth entrance has a rank cap. But the dungeon there, compared to others on the continent or in the forest, is kinda tricky. The monsters are weak to physical hits, but they have no glaring weak spots. It's a solid way to train for flexible fighting. Akira said he's pretty sure of his skills, but the attendants heard that line a million times from newbies. He also explained the boy needs to prove his skills to rank up, and they can chat about it whenever he wants. Meanwhile, over at Kuru's crib, Amelia was just chillin', waiting for him to say yes to being her sensei. But Kuru was all, nah, not looking for a sidekick, since loads of folks had asked before, but they all bailed after his hardcore training. Amelia was like, bring it on! Even though she looked like a princess, she was silver rank, but yeah, still not as strong as him. Kuru turned to Yoru, asking how to get her to quit. The cat was like, dude, Amelia's the queen of not giving up. Kuru said only the toughest make it in this world, and she knows there's a level she can't reach. The elf fired back, saying even the weak can shake things up. They fight to snag that chance. Akira did it solo, and she wants to follow his lead. She wants to get strong enough to fight alongside Akira. The sun was dipping, and Amelia was still there, hoping Kuru would teach her to throw down, practically begging him. But Kuru was like, nope, bowing won't change my mind. This was a test of her grit, and when they caught a whiff of food, Yoru remembered Akira said to be back before dinner. When they hit the hotel, Akira was like, yo, why so late? He made Amelia sit in Seiza, which is this super formal kind of punishment style sitting in Japan. Yoru told Akira she wouldn't last long like that. Then he let Amelia get up so they could chow down. Akira knows Amelia and Yoru are tough cookies and wants them to soak up the daylight, but he still worries about what might go down after dark. The elf was like, didn't know you were such a curfew cop, and Akira warned her legs would be jelly now. No control when they're like that, total bummer. While munching, Akira told Amelia he needed to hit yellow rank ASAP. But to do that, he has to show the guild he's strong and dependable enough. So he's on it first thing in the morning. He said they could do whatever the next day, but Amelia was more into checking out the menu for more grub. Next day, she was back at Kuru's place bright and early. She was all about begging him to teach her to fight like a boss. Kuru saw a chance and told her to whip up dinner. He didn't mind her chatting as long as they could do it over some eats. The elf just rolled with it and hit the kitchen, but as soon as she started, Yoru saw she was clueless. So he stepped in, guiding her through every move, helping out big time. The meal started looking pretty delish, thanks to the cook and the coach. Amelia asked the cat about his deal with Kuru, since the dude called him the Nightmare of Adorea. Yoru launched into this epic tale, saying he got that name cause like 100 years ago, he wrecked the Adorea capital. It was the demon lord's orders to hit the beastman's turf. But when he lost it, his wild side and instincts went haywire. He ended up turning the palace to rubble and the whole city got trashed, way more than he meant to. When he snapped out of it, he realized he went way too far. Since then, the beastmen dubbed him the Nightmare of Adorea. Not long after, they put up a monument on a hill overlooking the ruins of the old capital. He wasn't sure how to feel about it, but he visited the spot. He saw someone there who'd lost family and thought it best to bounce. But before he left, the guy noticed him and said not to hide. He said ages ago he was under Yoru's care at the Demon Lord's castle. That's when Yoru realized he was the beastman who was with the hero and managed to escape. Kuru was all, "Yo, isn't being the city's nightmare enough to make you bounce?" The cat, spotting the dude laying flowers at the monument, was like, "You really want to throw down here?" But Kuru was chill, saying his sis didn't die because of the cat. Truth bomb. A royal beastman did it. When Adorea got rocked by disaster, ships and carriages were there to save folks. Just one more step, and his sis would have been on that ship. But some dude blocked her, saying it was VIP only for the king. The king even joked, "Hero's sis, he should come save her himself." Kuru heard this from a sailor, and nobles are supposed to protect, but nah, they flipped the script. Kuru was way down south in Uru, and Adorea's up north, so no way he could make it in time. His sis got crushed by debris, and that was it. The cat was like, "No sorries here," and Kuro was cool with it. Kuro knew the cat was just doing his demon lord gig. That's war for ya. The black cat's scary rep is burned into beastmen's brains as a real nightmare, but Kuro's still got beef with those who hurt his sis and the royal gram cluster. While Yoru was spilling the tea to Amelia, Akira was at the guild hall, turning in all his afternoon quests. He smashed through them because his rank only lets him do easy-peasy weird stuff. Even got a stubborn old dude's signature, finally. Reminded him of his Japan days, juggling a part-time gig and chores. But with all those quests done, he leveled up to yellow rank, swapped his badge for a shiny gold one, which usually takes ages, but he nailed it in one afternoon. Told the guild peep he was hitting the Labyrinth. Weird quests were fun, but he's got to get back on track. The Labyrinth's right in the city, and the guild's got eyes on it 24/7. As he gets closer, he's not even sweating it, thinking this'll be a breeze compared to the last one. While making bank by slaying monsters in the Labyrinth, he's also eyeing some ingredients to snag, but before diving in, he's thinking, lunch first, priorities. Meanwhile, inside the dungeon, a bunch of beastmen are legging it like crazy. They burst out, but the monster's hot on their heels, popping out too. Everyone's freaking out cause a high-level monster's chilling on the first floors, and they gotta warn the guild master. At the dungeon's entrance, the lady from the portal in the grotto's all, "Thanks for the tour, guys." Meanwhile, Amelia and Yoru are cooking and chatting about the good old days. The cat's like, "Since that day, Kuro's been MIA." But he knows Kuro's in Uruk, doing his blacksmith thing. Everyone knows he's the goat blacksmith. That's why he suggested going there, so Akira's sword could get a glow-up. Amelia's curious if Kuru still looks the same after 100 years, and Yoru's like, "Yup." The elf learned young that beastmen outlive humans, but they ain't got nothing on elves. Their youthful looks are all about their mana levels. More mana, more youthful vibes, like hitting pause on aging. Amelia heard one of the old hero's crew had mana on demon levels. Yoru confirmed it was him, and he's got mad mana, but that's not his only flex. Kuru's kinda special, and while they were chatting, the man rolled back home. He plopped down at the table and told Amelia to join him for some grub. While munching, he promised to hear her out, but first, he wanted the 411 on Akira. Kuru already knew Akira wasn't your average dude, but never thought the nightmare of Adorea would call someone master. The cat was like, "Dude, drop that name, I've got a way cooler one now." Kuru was all, "Amelia, why do you want to get stronger, just to fight with that dude?" He was curious about what she knew about him. Dinner wrapped up, and Amelia hit the kitchen to tackle the dishes, but she had a bonus question, asking if she could sneak in one more. With the guy's nod, she mentioned Yoru told her about his sister and asked if he got revenge. Kuru was like, "Not yet. The dude who did it is the king's nephew, Graham, and he's still out there." Amelia was all, "Why haven't you done anything, even after swearing revenge?" Kuru said he wanted to take them all down, but his sister wouldn't have wanted that. She was too kind. The elf was like, "If it were me, I'd go full-on revenge mode, no holding back." This made the beast man super mad, asking who she thought she was. But then, staring into her eyes, he felt something. He looked back, saw nothing, and wondered if Amelia had some secret power. He said with that power, she could see stuff, and he wanted to know what she saw now. But Amelia was like, "Nah, not something I want to know, just my vibe." She advised him to stop using his sister as an excuse. It was a dead end. After a pause, Kuru thanked her for the grub and said she could bounce. The elf said bye and left, and on the way, Yoru asked if she was sure about her choice. She said even if Kuru, all moody and stuff, taught her something, it might not help Akira. But even with his attitude, he's kind. Maybe he just needs time to chill. Yoru agreed, and suddenly a creepy feeling hit them like a cold breeze. They quickly realized it was coming from the dungeon in the city center. Meanwhile, Akira was sprinting towards the chaos. Only then did he get why he felt off. His danger sense was tingling. Getting closer to the gate, he sensed something was up. Monsters from the deep floors were pouring out of the dungeon. They were wrecking everything and everyone in their way. Guild members were trying to hold the gate while more backup arrived and informed the guildmaster. It was like a sequel to the nightmare from 100 years ago. While Akira fought off the monsters, he mind-chatted with Yoru. The cat told him Miss Amelia was helping civilians get out. Akira would keep the monsters at the dungeon entrance in check. A guild member called Akira, saying he hadn't seen him before. But he said they were falling back, as the defenses weren't stopping these beasts from invading the city. So, there was an emergency call for adventurers of yellow rank or higher. They were called to split into squads for a big battle. Everyone was freaking out over the situation. Amelia, with Yoru, was saving as many people as they could, but recognizing the Adoria nightmare made them panic more. But the cat was like, "Don't call me that, I'm Yoru." In the guild hall, the master said all gray and blue ranks had to protect the citizens while they evacuated. Yellow rank and above would pair with whoever was nearby. If they weren't cool with that, they could form bigger groups, but no solo acts. Akira thought it was kinda lame. He'd rather fight solo. Then, the boy from earlier called him to team up, and with no choice, Akira agreed. The boy introduced himself as Sina, Ringa the guild master's little bro. Turns out, he teamed up with a big deal, another reason to stay sharp. They chatted about their fighting styles. Akira said he's up front cause he's an assassin, and the boy said he'd hang back as a fire mage. The guild master said orders were sent to nearby cities and the capital, but reinforcements would take time, so the only ones who could save the city were those right there. He shouted, hyping them up to not let the demons trash the city. When Akira heard about demons, he was like, "Wait, are these monsters being bossed around by demons or what?" This was serious business. Not the time for wild guesses or playing detective. Ringa rolled up to give the squad their mission, saying they were now the Crimson Squad, backing up the Silver Squad. Sina was all, "Are you sure about sending a yellow rank to the front lines?" But the guild master was chill, saying Akira could handle it. No sweat. So they jumped into action, ready to rock that battle. With Sina's Fire Fist and Akira's Shadow Flames, they were taking down creatures left and right. Akira's dagger was on its last legs, hoping it would last until his Yatonakami got fixed. But no time to cry over a busted weapon. There was a hurt buddy, and Sena had to get him to safety. Akira asked the injured dude if he could borrow his sword. The guy was like, "Sure, it's a Kuru special, just bring it back, okay?" Sena took the injured guy and told Akira to stay safe, promising she'd be back soon. Honestly, Akira was cool with flying solo. With one epic swing, he sliced a monster in half. That sword was a beast. He snagged some materials to fix the Yanokami without dungeon diving. With just shadow magic, he could wipe out a monster wave. Sina rushed back, spotting a bunch of flying monsters, but they were all gone. Akira joked he ate them all, and the boy cracked up, thinking it was a gag. They wrapped up there and heard about a rock earth dragon causing chaos on the west side. So, off they went to help out. Yoru and Amelia had already cleared the area, but the girl was dragging her feet. She told the cat to get the people out first, as monsters might show up soon. With no adventurers around, she stayed to buy time for the cat. He tried to argue, but she insisted she could handle it, so no worries. Yoru dashed off, planning to return ASAP. Using her gravity powers, the elf wiped out the monsters with ease. That mysterious girl popped up behind Amelia, saying the magic really made her back off. The girl recognized the elf princess and thanked her little sis for the fun. Amelia asked if she was a demon. The girl ditched her cloak, introduced herself as Alam Trace, and told her to remember the name. She remembered the princess and her magic well. Alam said she told her minions not to kill her, but the magic was a hassle. So she planned to finish her off quickly. Before she knew it, the elf was surrounded by monsters. The demon mentioned the boy with the princess. He said the demon lord thought he was a problem, so he planned to take him out too. Now she told Amelia to hang in there. If she couldn't, she wouldn't be able to protect her friend. And with resurrection magic, she couldn't be left alive. The demon attacked brutally, leaving her defenseless. Using telepathy, Yoru told the MC that Miss Amelia was kidnapped. Akira didn't hesitate and rushed to Yoru to get the scoop. When he arrived, he asked what went down. Yoru explained the girl stayed behind to distract monsters for the evacuation. Akira sensed her mana, and the blood was definitely hers. Yoru smelled mana that wasn't Amelia's. It was a scent he knew well, the one named Trace, the third strongest demon. Akira asked if the cat could track them, but he said with Akira's current strength, it might be tough. Akira didn't care. He was going after them anyway. The MC couldn't hold back the shadows. The shadow magic, full of rage, was spreading. Yoru followed orders, but Aulam's scent was faint, so he had to transform. With his transformation, he saw they went back into the dungeon. Akira asked if the monsters left the labyrinth because of Aulam, following the Demon King's orders. Yoru said sorry, but since he took on this form to sniff out the scent better, he went all wild, like he was on some crazy sugar rush and couldn't handle tough questions. The MC got it and just told him to go find Owlum. While Senna was battling monsters and wondering where Akira vanished to, something up in the sky caught her eye. She saw all the monsters heading back to the dungeon, and a bunch of flying monsters were gathering too. They weren't just chilling, they were zooming east of the dungeon. They all headed where the main dude was going, using his shadow magic to clear the path. But it messed with Yoru's transformation, making him switch back to his original form. Somehow, Akira's magic messed up Yoru's technique in some way, but the big deal now is, with his mind back, it's obvious this is a trap. Akira said he doesn't care if it's a trap, he's just gonna smash it. A giant monster, looking like a dinosaur, charged at the boy. But, mid-attack, another flying monster swooped in and snatched Akira's sword. He was falling right into the creature's mouth. In his head, he heard Commander Saran's words, saying he's not cut out for fighting a bunch of enemies. His shadow magic has all sorts of epic fails. Akira knew this, but still, he doesn't want to lose anyone else, ever again. He cranked up his power to max to make that monster sink into the shadows. Right after that, his mana was totally drained. Yoru could only watch his master falling from the sky. Inside the dungeon, Amelia started waking up. She began to remember she was dying and, with her last breath, cast revive on herself. Owlum was there, waiting for her to wake up, and, because of the revive spell, her mana was totally wiped out and it'll take a few days to recharge. Just like it was in the forest dungeon, ages ago. The demons checked it out thoroughly. This weakness is probably all part of Owlum's plan. Amelia asked where she was being taken. She was told to the depths of the labyrinth, to the superior, the second among the demons. He's gonna use a magic circle there to meet them. Hearing Owlum had a superior, she was shocked to know there's someone even stronger than that demon heading there. Seems the second is some kind of magic circle pro. If they can teleport all the way from the demon continent to the south of the beastmen continent, they must be super powerful. Since there's plenty of time, Owlum told Amelia to spill more about herself and her little sis. The elf said her sister is super strong, but recently realized she was actually kind of fragile. The elves fight enemies only with long-range attacks, but Kirika shines with her sword. She's always on the front line to protect her squad. Kirika was jealous of Amelia and kept it all bottled up until she hit her limit. That's how they found out the girl was fragile. But at that moment, Amelia felt jealous of her and, deep down, was envious. Kirika could let all her thoughts and feelings explode, while she couldn't do that. Princess Amelia thought she was even weaker and more fragile than her little sis. Owlum said now it's his turn to chat about his little sis. He said that Loon is the best among all demons at controlling monsters, and that he loves her tons. But she always ignored him, making him think she was tired of him, so he sucked it up and left her alone. But now, Loon barely leaves his side, and he was super shocked because he thought he was hated. While talking with happiness and sadness in his voice, Amelia was surprised, thinking demons would be totally alien. But this guy has a family, someone he loves even. Then she asked if all demons smile like him. Owlum replied that his sister basically never smiles, just like the Demon King, number 4, Silas. And both are always grumpy. He was spilling info everywhere, not because they're dumb, but because they're confident. Totally confident that Amelia won't get back to Akira. Owlum told Amelia that now it's time to speed things up, because her friends must already be on her trail. Even though it should take days to get so far in the labyrinth, you can't see the sun down there, and having no sense of time passing is the worst. So the demon put the princess to sleep a bit longer. Meanwhile, Akira was finally waking up. He was in Kuru's workshop, and when he realized, he yelled asking about Amelia. But Yoru told him to chill for now. He needs to rest until his mana's back in action. After using all the shadow magic he could muster, he was totally out of mana, and then, boom, the cat carried him there. While carrying the master, whispers floated around, saying, the master's mana was way over the limit. His life might be in danger at this rate, so bam, shadow magic activated. Healing mode kicked in, grabbing all the mana it needed from reserves. Complete healing, shadow magic stopped, and Yoru was left like, what on earth did I just see? Kuru whipped up some grub for the boy and told him to chill and focus on getting better. Since he was out of mana, recovery was kinda slow. Normally he wouldn't be back to normal in just 3 days. 3 days later, he woke up from a coma and was all, hey, what about Amelia? Kuru said if he wanted a shot at saving his princess, he should rest up a few more days. Kuru mentioned that tales of his epic adventures were trending in Uruk. A yellow rank adventurer fresh from another continent wiped out all the dungeon monsters, even a rock dragon, with his dark magic, as everyone was calling it. The dude said when he hit the city, someone handed him that sword. He recognized it as one he forged and knew who owned it, planning to return it later. And so the boy wouldn't be weaponless, the blacksmith hooked him up with a sword. It was the yacht Nokami, which the boy had asked to be fixed. The man grabbed everything he needed from the luggage and fixed it while he snoozed. When he unwrapped it, he saw it was snapped in two and thought, "Man, I was super careless with this." Kuru agreed, but since he's an assassin, short swords fit him better. 2 short swords as black as coal, everything from the hilt to the tip, blacker than black. Kuru also gave him a ring. Checking it out, Akira saw it had an English inscription inside. The man confirmed the theory. He could totally read it. The protagonist said it wasn't from his country's language, but the words were from his world. Yoru said it belonged to some hero from the past, heard it was a national treasure, and asked how the man got it. Kuru said ages ago, he helped a stranger, and he got this, not even knowing the guy's name. That ring has the power to guide its user to find anything they want. Upon learning this, Akira asked if it worked to find people too. Quickly, Yoru realized if it worked, it could lead them both to Amelia. Once he was back on his feet, Akira teamed up with Yoru on the rescue mission, using the ring to track down Amelia. Just as they thought, Amelia was right below them, specifically inside the dungeon. Chatting at Kuru's place, the boy mentioned the name Silent Assassin was also used by the guildmaster, and he said something bugged him about him because, right before the attack started, he said not to let the demons mess up their city. Even the blacksmith was shocked he mentioned demons. Akira went on, saying the demons showed up with Aulum in the city and also nabbed Amelia, but he shouldn't have known demons were attacking when it all kicked off. That's why he suspects him, both Ringa and his younger bro, Sina. The protagonist continued, saying his yellow rank was totally ignored and he was sent to the front line with Sina, no questions asked. Meanwhile, Amelia ended up helping evacuate people in the far-off suburbs. Sure, they acted like that because it seemed the best move at the time, but what if Ringa had set up the battlefields to play out like this? With that, Kuru got what the boy was saying. There's a chance they're in cahoots with the demons. Akira said it was smart to keep tabs on the two, but for now, he should at least keep his moves on the down low from the guild. Using his stealth, the boy slipped past the guards and headed to the dungeon entrance. They entered the dungeon carefully, but Akira quickly sensed someone was there. He tossed a kunai their way and asked who it was, stammering to speak, but that was enough for our hero to recognize that voice. He asked if it was the one who kept an eye on the heroes during the parade in Ritus. The woman remembered he was there and spoke to him. Then she said she had a favor to ask, wanting the boy to take her with him. But Yoru said no way they could trust the stranger, and they were in a rush. They couldn't protect her. So, to try to earn more trust, the woman revealed herself. She said her name's Leah Lagoon, first princess of Uruk, the top-tier nation of beastmen. Yoru was shook to see her there and asked what a princess was doing in a place like that. Leah said she wanted to chat with the elven princess, Amelia. Boom! Akira whipped out his dagger to her neck, asking how she knew Amelia was in that dungeon. Leah said she'd been through a lot thanks to the Princess of Ritus. She said she couldn't trust this mission to anyone but Amelia, so, depending on her answer, she wouldn't hesitate to end her, said Akira. The woman said she's weak, but at least she can handle herself. She was just trying to say she knew Princess Amelia was in trouble. Our hero asked again how she knew Amelia was there. Leah didn't follow them. She went into the dungeon solo. The princess explained her skill, enhanced smell, helped her track Amelia's scent, and another's, but she lost it in the labyrinth. Using his visual skill, Akira saw Leah was being real about her gift. It also didn't seem like she was faking being a princess, but it's weird since she got the royal grace skill last. The boy turned around, went to Yoru, and told the princess to hop on too. Akira said he knew Leah wasn't lying, but still had no reason to trust her. Even so, since she was already there, he had more questions to ask. But they were short on time, so they'd have to chat on the move. Akira asked if Leah was ready to roll with them. She was like, heck yeah, because she had something to tell Miss Amelia. Yoru told Leah to hang on tight because they wouldn't stop if she fell. The brute dungeons got a wild layout, and Akira asked if Leah knew the place. The dungeons got boss rooms every 10 floors, super vertical, with big drops. It's packed with towers and bridges going every which way. These paths usually go down, but there are tons of dead ends and paths, so it's easy to get lost. Yoru asked if they couldn't just jump to the lower bridges. Leah said lots of newbie adventurers think that and use ropes to go down. But it's tough with all the flying monsters in that dungeon. The MC got that because of this, people who underestimate the dungeon get eaten fast. Since there are so many monster types there, he heard it's a great place to test adaptability. Yoru said he was with him, and it would be nothing more than a game. Akira told the familiar to speed up and head straight to Amelia. Akira introduced himself to the woman, along with the familiar, Yoru. As promised, he'd listened to what Leah had to say and warned her to be careful not to bite her tongue. Leah said she wanted to tell Miss Amelia that the demons were after her extra skill, resurrection magic. The princess said they both had Amelia's scent on them, but the other scent with her now wasn't on them. Akira said that scent belonged to a demon named Alum Trace. Leah was bummed for being late, but Yoru told her not to jinx it, as they'd arrive in time. The protagonist asked why they were after Amelia's skill and what the demons wanted. Leah said she wasn't totally sure, but she thought the Demon King had finally made a move. The monster attack was the demon's way of declaring war. The MC asked Yoru what the Demon King's goal was, if it was to take over the world. Yoru replied that he couldn't say what was on his mind. However, he knew that revenge against the other races who kicked the demons to the volcano continent had been the Demon King's dream since the first one. He also heard there was a quirky one among these kings over the ages, one who hated fights and tried to sign a peace treaty. To Yoru, he was a pretty chill Demon King. He loved his wife and kid, and he also loved all demons and monsters. His heart longed for peace with the other races. He worked hard with humans, elves, and beastmen. When they were about to sign a peace treaty, a beastman who hated demons and was obsessed with being a hero killed the Demon King's beloved wife. With that, he ditched the negotiations and wrecked 2 beastman cities. Yoru said that demons being evil is just a perspective. Leah didn't know this side of the story. According to their version, the peace treaty the Demon King brought was nothing but a trap. They trusted the king, got backstabbed, and lost 2 cities. Ouch. It's too early to know which story's legit. Memories and records? They're like Play-Doh, easily twisted by time and power. Akira said he'd pick a side only after seeing things for himself. He promised Yoru he'd remember this tale. But then, boom, Amelia got kidnapped. Not cool. If the Demon King's behind this, Akira's gonna be super mad. While chatting, they spotted the boss floor entrance. The only way forward in this dungeon is through the boss floor. Once they get past it, they'll keep moving. When the boss showed up, Leah was about to yell retreat, but Akira went all ninja and poof, boss gone. They gotta hustle. They're already on the 97th floor. The dungeon's been weird since the 81st floor. Miss Amelia's scent is stronger now. Even Yoru could smell her, so they're super close. Akira remembered seeing Leah at the parade, glaring at the hero. He asked about the summoning needing a sacrifice. Leah said she gets that people like him, caught by the summoning, aren't to blame. But before she could finish, they bumped into Aulum. Akira zoomed in to attack, but the demon blocked it like a pro. Aulum said the kid showed up faster than he thought. He figured he'd be home before Akira caught him. But no worries, Aulum told him to go all out. Seeing the cat, Aulum said it's been ages. He wasn't shocked the Demon King's right-hand man reached him, but he must be low on energy to get there so fast. Aulum wondered why Yoru would team up with a regular human, but warned him about his ambitions. Akira wasn't in the mood for chit-chat and charged in to save Amelia. The demon sneered, saying a puny human shouldn't dare challenge him, and he promised to make him regret it big time. When they clashed, Aulum was shocked Akira blocked his attacks. Akira was impressed by the demon's powerful blows. Using World Eye, he saw the demon's a combat pro without fancy moves, small body, but crazy strong. Aulum was loving the fight and went all out. With a few hits, rocks started falling, and Leah used Divine Barrier. She shielded the 3 of them, but this defense was no biggie for the demon. While they fought, Amelia started waking up and saw Akira. Aulum warned Akira not to get distracted or he'd get hit again. Seeing Aulum grinning under pressure, Akira knew he was loving the fight, but with more hits, Akira got cut again, risking the princess rescue. Still, it seemed part of Akira's plan, as he said he was waiting for this. He set shadow magic traps, and when Aulum was in place, he struck. With shadows piercing Aulum, Akira joked about his tasty blood and mana. But instead of crying, the demon laughed like a maniac, thrilled to bleed. Aulum was amazed, never expecting a human like Akira. He said since Akira showed him a cool trick, he'd return the favor. Amelia tried to warn Akira, but too late. Aulum played a flute, making everything crumble, including them. As creatures neared Leah, she panicked. She couldn't die there, needing to confess her feelings. So Leah used Divine Reflection Barrier, expelling all the monsters. Aulum was baffled how a protector class had such a skill. All the fangs trying to chomp and claws trying to scratch. Every attack just bounced back to the attacker, like a boomerang of doom. The tables turned, but Aulum wasn't about to let it slide that easily. He mentioned the flute isn't just for calling and controlling a bunch of monsters. It's got another trick up its sleeve. While he was chatting, a magic circle popped up above him, and a voice was all, "Whoa, didn't expect you to ask for help." As someone descended through the portal, the barriers couldn't handle the vibe and just shattered. Once fully out, a dude greeted Akira, saying it was a pleasure to meet him. But hearing the voice and accent, the main character realized, whoa, he's Japanese too. The guy introduced himself as Abe Mahiro, said the kid doesn't need to remember that, and mentioned they're short on time, so he's taking the princess. The MC and Yoru stood their ground, but without a blink, the guy used the body puppet ability. He drew a circle around Amelia and trapped her like a bug in a jar. Akira was ready to pounce, but the cat was like, chill, don't take the bait. Cause that dude's a beast, way stronger than Allum. Seeing the cat team up with Akira, the guy was like, nope, can't let that slide. He whipped up some epic magic to wrap things up quick and launched it. Boom! A massive explosion and a gigantic smoke cloud filled the air. As the light dimmed and smoke cleared, Akira was shook by what he saw. Commander Saran was right there, saving the day for the boy. With the guy's first words, saying Abe's the strongest human he knows after the master, Akira got it, that dude was Yoru. Abe Mahiro said he doesn't remember Yoru pulling these stunts and thought he was weaker with the Demon King. Yoru said he hurt the master and his beloved, and that's all he needs to know. But he can't keep this form for long, so he's gonna end it once and for all. Yoru unleashed a hammer of light on the baddies who hurt his master. This got Abe hyped to fight, cause he hadn't seen something this wild in ages. Abe used the Golden Light, King of Lightning move, a two-step formation, and this light should match Yoru's hammer of light, which means Akira's got no defense against the King of Lightning. With Yoru's light, Akira used shadow magic, cause more light means clearer shadows. Abe was all, I'm gonna crush both of you at once, mixing. The moves, the main character managed to make the shadow swallow not just the spell, but also the sacred magic circles. The three were neck and neck, even though it was a 2-on-1 fight, and the title of second strongest demon showed why. It blew the demons' minds that Akira had leveled up so much, and that's why the Demon King switched orders from capture to kill. Still, it seems no magic Abe throws will work, thanks to the boy's super annoying shadow. After that, Yoru went back to his regular form, almost out of mana. Akira joked that Yoru turning into Commander Saran must mean he fought him before. Yoru confirmed and said he was also a victim of the Hammer of Light, and if they make it out, he'll spill the story later. While brainstorming how to handle the opponent, Abe started an attack. With just one arm move, he made Akira get stabbed in the stomach. The hand was Amelia's, leaving them both totally confused. The body puppet ability lets Abe control anyone caught by the magic circle. He can hurt them anytime or use them however he wants. Abe kept hitting the boy with his beloved's hands. Abe taunted if Akira would devour the magic circle with the shadow, even if it means devouring the girl too. More hits landed on the MC, making him crash to the ground, totally wiped out. Akira declared he wouldn't die. He couldn't die. Amelia tried to resurrect the boy, but it didn't work. When Akira blacked out, that same voice Yoru heard after the master ran out of mana came back, saying the master's wounds were over the limit. Then it kicked in shadow magic in healing mode. The magic started gathering the needed mana from stored reserves. It absorbed the King of Lightning spell, which the shadow magic had previously gobbled up, and also Aulum's mana. With all this stored mana, Akira was fully healed. Something that didn't happen last time started to go down. Akira scoped out the area and, not finding a chill spot to rest, decided the threats had to go. Akira spotted the enemy, the demon Mahiro Abe, profession magical engineer. Finally, he switched to battle mode, ready to take down Mahiro Abe.